Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM, 107.7 FM from New Orleans. We're fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee, who have been a part of our journey for the last several years. So thank you, Folgers. We couldn't do it without you, nor would we want to. Also, big thank you to Justin Snicker, a.k.a. Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, for the contribution of his time, his music, and his voice for the intro you just heard. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite music streaming platforms. Also, big thank you to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind our logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Also specializes in the horror and Halloween genre, but does amazing commission pieces of any sort. So tonight we're waiting, hopefully, see if our guest is going to make it on. We've been having a little bit of an issue, but we are expecting Professor Sylvain Rochon, who is one of the founders of the Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact, which is an organization whose goal is to build the world's first United Nations recognized embassy for extraterrestrial civilizations. So sounds exciting. Again, just waiting to see if we are going to connect. Hopefully we are ready to go. It looks like we might be ready to go. Anyway, we wait. But in the meantime, everyone's chiming in. So, hello, Wayne. hello. Hey, Kevin, how are you? Hello. Michael, how's it going? Yes. Again, hello. Okay, all right. Yep, just trying to keep track of all the different profiles. Go Folgers. Yes. Hello, Heidi. Hello. Janie, hello. No Amelia tonight. No, she was here last night though, which was fantastic. Always great to see her. Hello, Dolly. I feel like I should be saying that with some kind of a melody of sorts. Hello, Mish. How's it going? Right, who am I missing? Mark. Hi, Mark. Hello. And we've got Michelle. Hello. Okay, and we're going. God, just making my way down the list. Okay, I think I've got everybody. So now we're just waiting on our guest, and sounds like it's going to be a very interesting conversation. Technically, this is something to me that it's like almost like it's out of Star Trek. And to think that maybe we're getting close to that point is pretty fascinating, to say the least. Going to make a coffee. Okay, Mish, I have mine, so we're good. Hello, Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I am just I am just waiting. Are you? Okay. There we go. Oh, and there he is. So I'm very excited about the topic. Like I said, it seems where many people seem to think this is something very futuristic. We're there. Are we there? Well, that's what Professor Rochon is going to be here to discuss with us. And without further ado, hello, Sylvain.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining me. I've been very excited about this. So, but I know the time is it's a little bit off. We technically start 10 minutes after the hour because we have shows on before us and we have access to international audio servers, which have to reset, which are responsible for millions of listeners. So we definitely want them,
All right.
especially tonight, right? So, um, what I'd like to do is start with humble beginnings with respects to, because this is quite a venture. So something led you to this. Are you an experiencer, a contactee yourself, or is it just an interest?
Okay. This is a long story, so I'm going to keep it short just for the
It's
interest.
your show.
Yeah.
You go.
I guess it has to start with the individual, with myself, in a way. Like I was, and there's other people involved. I'll bring them in. When I was a child, I knew that I wanted the world to be better. I guess at the time, I didn't know what that meant. I just knew I needed to do something, and I had a lot of stress about it. I had migraines and things when I was a teen. Like I was very stressed and I had a lot of pressure on my shoulders, and I felt I didn't have the power to do anything because I was a child. Like, right?
Well, for sure. Shouldn't be
So that, and I didn't know what it was. Like, am I going to become a doctor, a scientist? Like, what is it? Right? I was kind of thinking more traditional at the time, but I felt I had a mission or some kind of purpose. Is my point. And then when I was about 13, my father brought some books to home. And the books were books written by a fellow that called himself Rael at the time. So he and the book talked about his encounter with extraterrestrials. That talked about the origin of life and religion and all sorts of stuff. Like where do we come from? It answered a bunch of my questions, and it kind of blew things up for me. It's like, okay, like now I understand more about the universe.
Yes.
It kind of fit some pieces to me about the existence of ETs. I was already aware, but it kind of slotted them in, like, why are they here? And who are they? That kind of thing. It kind of, and this is pre-internet. You have to remember, folks, I'm 50 years old, 51, actually recently. Libraries were the thing.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
So
with
I
you there.
oh, okay.
Yes.
I couldn't Google search anything. So that was like that first contact. And inside that book, he was given two missions as a contactee. He was spread the word about ETs being involved with humanity and creating life, and being involved since like a long time ago, but also build an embassy, an official embassy that humanity would be able to agree on, because we're coming back officially at some point in the future. And this is the encounter was 1973, and I read this in the late 80s, I guess, when I was 13.
Wow.
So my father was into this, I was into this, and kind of like, it's like, okay, like this is really important. Again, pre-internet. In my worldview, this was the only person that had contact with the ETs. Because again, books, only
Yes.
books, right?
Yes,
So
that's it.
so just got to put the context in. So I was involved with an organization that was created by him for a while. Actually, I'm still am in a way. That kind of is part of the story. And within it was the idea of creating the embassy. So the Raelian movement, which the organization that came out of it, was more philosophy and a way of thinking, but just the purpose of the organization is to spread the word and to build the embassy. And within that, I met the person that was responsible for the AT Embassy project within the Raelian movement, within that organization, named Daniel Turcotte. I was not involved with that. I was doing other things for a while, but then in 2020, so years and years later, I had the compulsion or I felt like the world was being different regarding ETs. All of a sudden, it was more table, like dining room table conversation a little bit more, and it seemed like the ET embassy concept would be more acceptable all of a sudden. And I contacted Danielle, who had been responsible for the ET Embassy project within the Raelian movement for 15 years at the time, or something like that. I said, Dan, the ET Embassy project has to be a humanity project. It can't just belong to this one organization as a project. It has to be something bigger. And he agreed. He checked with Rael, because he's still alive. He's nearly 80 years old. It's like,
wow.
What do you think? And Rael said, like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, because the concept of the embassy within that organization is to get it done. Doesn't matter who does. We need, and I'll get to the reason why that is in a minute.
Sure.
So it's like, okay, like and they brought the resources they've been building since 1974 into a network that the Alliance, because that's why we call it the Alliance, right? It's a network of organizations that all wants to see this happen. And many organizations bring resources they've been building into the cause. So the movement allows us to access, for the purpose of the embassy only, $50 million of funds that's been raised specifically to build the embassy. And that's important because of how we have to approach governments with this. We can't just go, here's an idea. They don't really listen. No. If you have money tagged for that project, they listen a lot more. And if you can prove to them that there's a number of individuals that want this, that will support this, will visit this, will participate in the millions, they're really interested.
So basically, they want to make sure you're not a guy in a basement who's just trying to, an enthusiast trying to, with a dream. I mean, is this something you can bring to fruition and you're serious?
Is there some serious, is there some organization around, are there numbers around this? It makes sense, doesn't it? Right?
Yes, of course.
So when we made the alliance initially, we had the movement, okay, like here's the resources we've been building on, like let's run together. And now a few years later, because officially we started in 2021, early like January. So now this is 2026. So we're talking about 5 years. Now we have 36 organizations in the network and about 2.2 million people represented. Wow. Right?
Yes.
So now when we talk to governments, they listen, because there's money in the bank. We can show that. And there's a growing number of individuals, from influencers and podcasters, ufologists, science groups. We have like 300 plus scientists that support the project.
That's amazing.
So we built that network, and we're growing in multiple languages and so on around that. So it makes it easy to talk to governments. And in fact, about a month ago, officially, but the very first government that signed a memorandum of collaboration leading towards the establishment of the embassy in their territory.
Wow.
Right, for the first time. We can't say which country it is, because that's very confidential. Well, I don't even know. This is Danielle, as my partner. He handles these conversations. The governments don't want this to be leaked or become a story in social media before they're ready.
Right.
That's the reason. But we have that document, so that we're working with them along with other potential governments that are still talking with us, leading towards the creation of the embassy. The reason why, even Rael way back then, and still to this day, it needs to be an official embassy recognized by nations, is because we as people and as nations need to not freak out and know the rules of when an encounter is going to happen, so that we don't fight each other. That's the danger.
Yes. Well, everybody fights over everything right now. So that's very important.
That's right. So there are very well-defined rules about embassies. defined by the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations of 1961 by the United Nations, signatories around the world, diplomatic immunity for the diplomats, all that stuff. That's known rules everybody agrees on. So if a nation decides, because that's how this works, you establish an embassy, a nation says, okay, I want an embassy from this other nation. I'm giving a piece of land, it becomes their land, extraterritoriality, that's called.
Mm-hmm.
And when an embassy is built on their land, this becomes the place of diplomatic missions. That's how it works. So now what we're seeking for another nation is like, okay, declare publicly to the world, this is an embassy for ETs. The building is ET property. The land is ET property as well. And that's where diplomatic missions would occur. And because of the Vienna Convention has all the rules, the rest of the world has to say, okay, like we understand these are the rules. This is how this is going to happen. We know how this is going to happen and who is permitted on the land and that kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why it has to be an official embassy, and that's why we're talking with nations, because it has to be an official signatory of the Vienna Convention that it will be doing this.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
So that's the whole story from where I was to now where we are in effectively where we are with the project itself.
That's a huge jump. Michael has a question. How far along is the Vienna optional protocol draft for ET embassies in 2026? ?
Wow, that's somebody that knows.
Michael, yeah, he knows.
Because I didn't talk about this. The optional protocol, that's a mechanism within that's approved by the Vienna Convention signatories in how you can, because you can't modify an agreement that 200 nations sign off on without having 200 people agreeing to it. Yes. So they put in a mechanism that's called an optional protocol. So you add another document to the Vienna Convention. It's happened at least once before. And countries have the option to sign off on the protocol. They don't have to. So you don't modify the main document. You just add something else that's optional. So that's the mechanism that is in place. We have drafted an optional protocol to answer the question, and you can go to our website and download it. It's a suggestion. Because the host nation and other nations that would be part of a convention to discuss the specifics would need to agree to the verbiage. We're just offering a draft. And the objective is, well, we need to add something on there because this is not a normal nation-to-nation collaboration. It's nation and an ET civilization. So we need to have that optional protocol that adds the language regarding an ET civilization being involved versus a nation. And there are other stipulations there because it is kind of extraordinary. It's not humans and so on and so on. There's a few things that need to be covered there. So the answer is like we offer a suggestion, but until a nation sets up a convention and invites other nations to discuss it, that's when it's going to be ratified and reorganized and agreed to and become formal and attached to the Vienna Convention for signing.
Yeah,
so right now it's just a suggestion.
Yeah, it's a process. So he continues on with updates on caretaker mode prep for the embassy by 2030.
I had a discussion internally about this. And just like a few hours ago at a meeting, we touched on it. It's like let's say a host nation sets up the land and we build the embassy. The land and the embassy belong to ETs, right? Normally, you have people from that nation come and take care of the building and the land, obviously.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
In this case, the ideal situation, which would be really funny to me and extraordinary, is that we build it and then ETs comes like, okay, we got this. And they start taking care of the land and the building.
Yeah.
Well, problem solved. The person that's supposed to take care of it is taking care of it. However, I presume that's not how it's going to happen. I presume that we'll have to have kind of caretakers, like Michael mentioned. And this is undefined. Who's going to be the caretakers specifically? The host nation is going to have a say. Probably they'll want to be, because they'll want to be as close as possible to this. The Iranian movement, who likely will be those that would provide initial funds, will probably want to take care of this. The alliance certainly is interested with its members to be part of that game, because that's kind of like a fun, close contact kind of a engagement. Yeah. But so the discussions about who's going to take care of it, notwithstanding the possibility that ETs will directly take care of it, is still in the air. Like, we don't know. The host nation may issue terms specifically. It's like, look, if we're going to give the land for the embassy, like, we will be the ones, for example.
Yes.
The movement may say, well, we're going to provide funds, but as a condition, we want to be the caretakers. So there's still discussions that need to happen.
I imagine it's a very big investment. So you would want, if those who really are putting a lot of fundage in would want to have some kind of say or have their place within all that, like that system.
Yeah. We still live in the world of materialistic ego.
Yes.
So the alliance is very egoless. So is the Iranian movement, like the more philosophical and ideological in our participation in doing this. But the host nation is basically doing this to create jobs and for tourism initially. Like, that's how they're going to sell this to their population. And politicians have to do it that way, unless it's a dictatorship. In that case, the dictator says, well, we're doing this for whatever reason they want. But that's different. Yeah. But I had a chat about this recently too. It's like, let's say it's a more advanced, developed nation. Let's say France, just to pick a country, right? Like something like this, like the funds needed are minuscule in their view. Like, they can just cover it. So if the demands from us are unreasonable to them financially, they'll just fund it themselves and do it.
Yes.
So, and they set the terms, because then they don't need us. Right? They have the land, they set up the funds, they put everything up, then they could. And to us, that would be fine. We just want the embassy, the official embassy, to be there. And so that it's recognized around the world. If it's a small nation, let's say it's Belize, okay, they want the funds to be there because they don't have it, or it would be hard. It's a small nation. Belize is like 300,000 people, right? So then we have a stronger say, because they need the money. So so now we can say, well, okay, we want to do this, this, and that. So that's really the full answer to the question. It really depends on a bunch of factors.
Yes.
Ultimately, we just want it to happen.
Yes. All right. Next, Michael's hot tonight. What's the status of ET embassy site analysis? Early 2026.
Well, we need to know where the land is going to be before we do any kind of a site analysis. And this is a city planning or construction kind of consideration. Once you know where the land is, then there's going to be a bunch of analysis for the land, ecological impact, so whatever the host nation has a requirement. They're probably going to open up a lot of red tape for us. And we have architects, we have city planners, we have all sorts of expertise that are ready to go. But first you have to identify the land.
Basically the same as any business venture where you are developing, a large organization and modifying the land to suit the purpose. It's the same thing, just for an out of this world clientele, I guess is the way to put it. Yeah.
And one of the main differences, though, is that the host nation wants to. So normally, what it would be like a private business approaches the government. Look, I want to do this.
Yes.
Right, and then you have to go through like different regulations and permits and whatever else. In this case, it's the country that says, okay, we want to do this in collaboration. So that's why there's certain steps that can be avoided, because they already kind of know where. And they know this is something they want. It's not something from outside. So some of the red tape is cut. But typically nations can't bypass some of their own rules. Some rules have to be followed within, because otherwise it causes problems internally and so on. So we'll certainly go through a feasibility study, go through some of the standards of construction either way. But that's okay. And it is a reasonable piece of land. You're talking about 4 square kilometers,
Wow.
like 2 by 2 square if it's a square.
Mhm.
So it's not inside a city, most likely. It's going to be built outside somewhere, accessible to an airport and close to a city enough so that it's manageable. So you're encroaching into natural land, perhaps
Yes.
farmland, perhaps whatever.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll hit some of those things for sure. Yeah.
Yes. I have to ask, have you received any sort of resistance to your idea? Because, you have so many naysayers. I mean, they're still fighting over disclosure right now. Who's going to disclose? And you're like, no, we're building an embassy for the extraterrestrial. Like, are you running into setbacks with that mentality a little bit? Like putting the cart before the horse?
Not yet, because you have basically right now you just have 2 camps. The other camp that I know exists, the naysayers, they're kind of like they're quiet right now. And I understand why. Like, you have one camp is the people, the welcoming people, the people that think it's a great idea. They're passionate philosophically, religiously, whatever the reason. It's usually some kind of emotional, kind of like they want this to happen because it's cool, maybe also. So that's one camp. Those are easy. They're on board, right? There's the other camp is more like why?
What for? Yeah.
Like, this sounds ridiculous. It's not. They're not resisting it. They're just saying like it's not important. Like,
they don't see the need.
More important things to think about. So they're not pushing back. They're just don't care.
Right. Right.
It's like, this is not important, or it's ridiculous, or whatever. They just avoid it. But imagine soon. This could be 2026, because we've been talking with a handful of nations, seriously. Right? Yes. There's one document signed, like an MOC, but we've been talking to several other nations. At any point in time, any one nation, not only those we're talking to, could declare like, we're doing it. Okay, in public, because they have to. This is not a private discussion. When you establish an embassy, it's a public declaration. You can't hide it. You have to declare to other nations, and other people need to be aware. So let's say this happens this year, next week. Then you'll have the naysayers coming out. That's when you're going to have this group that, for whatever different reasons, they're going to object, and that we're going to have to deal with that. Which is in part why nations are working under a cloak of confidentiality right now. They just don't want to deal with that until they're ready, and they set this up so that it's as positive as possible. When the word goes out, they want as much support as they can, right? The Alliance itself is a purpose-driven organization, so it's focused exclusively on getting the embassy built, but whether we're involved directly or indirectly. So we're participating a lot in the messaging, like advocacy. So we'll deal with the naysayers with our own justifications, like we've always have, like we're equipped to do, I suppose. And generally, the discussion about the why we want this done is that we need to be ready to avoid dangers with each other, like we talked about before, right? To be ready as a society, but also on a more proactive point of view, like we want humanity to be part of something bigger. We want humanity to participate at a galactic scale, and take our place and go into like a golden age for humanity. So we tend to have a positive view of things, and we respond with positive thoughts.
Hmm. What happens if you get more than one nation that says, "Well, we want it too," and you end up with a little bit of a how do you determine if you got people sort of vying for this privilege?
Well, the only limitation we have is the resources we've gathered. So the funds and manpower, like we have a certain number of volunteers, that kind of thing. So from that respect, the first country that comes to us and declares will probably be the one we'll be working with. Other nations won't have access to our resources because they're too limited. We can't, right?
Yeah.
But it only takes one. Because once one nation, like every nation receives our packet and receive the information in 2000, near the year 2000.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? 2019. Sorry, 2020. So before we formed the alliance itself. So when there's a declaration by one nation, other nations that are interested now feel safe to declare their intention. They may follow up using their own funds. It's not a lot of money to get this. Like embassies are being built all the time. Okay, nations have the money to get these things. So if other nations want to follow suit under their own wing, great. Like the more the merrier. These are official embassies for a purpose that serves our mandate, and I guess the ETs will have a choice of where they're going to land first. I suppose. Like we just want them to land officially and on TV, right?
Yes,
so everybody can see.
We're
like,
here.
Okay,
yes,
we're here making fanfare. We can talk about how we think this is actually going to happen.
Yes.
That's
yeah, let's do that. Yeah, there's questions and comments coming in. We'll get to them. Let's just keep going with the flow.
So let's keep it a bit short, because point number one, these ETs have been around for thousands of years around us, right? Which means even then they could travel the distance between stars. They are way more advanced in technology than we are, way more. Okay, we can't even imagine what they can do. So that is a point. That means, and they also have a different culture in how they deal with each other. Like diplomacy and discussions happen probably in a very different way in their world. Right? They don't do it the way we do.
Yeah.
However, we are the primitives here, and we do things a certain way so that we don't freak each other out. When we do diplomacy, right? It's in little rooms with suitcases and suits, and sit down and we talk. This is how we do things. This is how we're used to. We're comfortable doing this, right?
Yes.
Hello, Cameron. Saw her.
There she is.
So if I'm them and I want to make first contact, I will do it in a way that will freak us the least out. So most likely, first encounter will be like this. Let's imagine you're in a camera and you're seeing the embassy from the outside, and you can walk in and see the inside. We have a spaceship come down calmly and slowly, land, staircase, people come out. And I was joking, maybe with suitcases and suits and ties. Probably not that far, but like
yes,
familiar,
formal
and familiar, right? Go into the building, sit in chairs, and we go in. We have our own suit and ties and briefcase people or laptops, whatever, sitting in chairs, and there's a discussion. I think it's going to be similar to that,
right? Because
they respect and want us to be comfortable. This is what happens when we do it with each other. Okay. But because they're so advanced, what they could do, they could speak to 8 billion people in their own minds simultaneously if they wanted to. Say, hey, we're here. Everybody becomes an experiencer, basically. They could do that. Because they can. They can do a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm an experiencer. Yeah.
But doing that would probably cause chaos. People would freak out. They see that as an invasion. think they're crazy. So they won't do that. They've been waiting patiently for that amount of time. They won't freak us out by doing something just because they can. So the expectation is that at first there's going to be that very standard meeting, and then the next time they're still going to go to the building, but the spaceship will just appear on the landing pad. Boop. Oh, that's new.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, gradually we'll develop comfort, and we'll have our own private conversations with them telepathically or otherwise, eventually, on all that stuff, because they can. But they're going to help us out, work us towards more interesting ways, so they don't have access to only a few people in a room like the traditional way. They want to talk to everybody. They want to deal with the whole of humanity, not just our leader or whoever we put in place. I believe that they want to have a relationship with the whole of humanity, and we can do that. But that's going to take a little bit of time. We're going to get to that.
So my question with that is, I say the term special needs because so many are accustomed to different environments. For example, they have certain things that they need, even technology. Like, will the embassy be built with technology that they're going to assist with because they're going to require it? Or, let's say specific types of environment even within the building. Like, is this all stuff or things that need to be factored in?
Yes.
Yeah. That's cut and dry. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. It is to a certain degree. It is factored in because we're making certain assumptions, and also we're going on the lead of what we were given as information. This initially was Rael. He was told certain things, certain specifications. It was very brief. There's not a lot to go on. And then we've had information from other experiencers along the way also that kind of say this and that. But basically, the design of the embassy satisfies human shape and general human size people, given way to significant headroom in case. And there is the living area of the embassy has airlocks. So we don't integrate a bunch of technology in there because our technology is crap. Like, it really
in comparison, yes.
It's like, what are we going to do? We're going to give them like Lenovo laptops, it's like, no, we make sure it's a seal so that they can insert their own atmosphere in there.
Yes.
And they'll probably bring whatever they need technologically. They have way better tech, probably portable, and they'll do whatever they need to do. There was even the joke where, and this is entirely possible too, the construction of the embassy is more of an exercise of us understanding how this is going to happen. They don't really need the building. We need the building, right? Because of the reasons we talked about before. So they could probably at some point, look, this was fun. Now we know each other. Tomorrow there will be a building here. We prefer that one. And overnight, building appears, right? And then
we're going to meet under the trees in the forest behind the building.
Yeah, whatever. And then they have all their technology, everything they need in there, already integrated. So again, the amount, the gap in technology between us and them is so astronomical that you can even imagine they may be officially actually be still in their own planet. They're sending clone of themselves to talk to us as if it's them. And they're watching this on some kind of permeated VR from their planet, and they kind of just assisting what their clone is doing correctly to them without a risk of themselves. They're able to see everything on our planet from their home planet, and it was 50 years away. I mean, from that's completely fine. To them, they may not want to risk their own bodies here, right? And they build a building break it down, new technology, it's probably not. We consider these things basic, like just set up the airlocks so that they can have their normal atmosphere if they want to. Otherwise, like bring BYOD, right? Bring your own devices.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Because like we can't compete.
Yes.
We can't really help
Yes.
them very much, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Before I touch on some of the questions or comments, because there's some really good ones in there. Which are the primary races right now that like, you have people within your organization who are in touch, or who are we catering to as humanity moving forward, let's say first?
Right. Well, to me, that's a little bit in the air. Like, I'm not sure because I have different
Okay.
opinions about this.
Yes. Okay.
But there are named races, let's call them, that
Yeah.
come up a lot, right?
Mhm.
First, Rael, he was talking to the Elohim, which is not a name of a civilization. That just means those who came from the sky in Hebrew, right? And they are described as very human-looking, but more like children size, and greenish, olive green skin and olive eyes. I'm an engineer.
Yes.
I'm not an experiencer.
Right.
So I just read and listen to people. I was just compelled to do this for some reason. I'm told I am an experiencer, but I'm not aware of it. I don't know how that works.
Yes.
But I just don't
Hypnosis.
know. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the story. Rael says, well, that this is who I met, and they created life, and like there's a bunch of other races. That's his story, right? So those that are expected from his perspective are those smaller humanoid almond-shaped people.
Okay.
That will come along with other individuals. Others are like we're talking about, like a collection, like the Galactic Collective, the Galactic Council, where you have the Arcturians, the my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. The Arcturians, the Palladians,
I think, yeah, you have,
and the Lyrans, and even some Draconians are part of the council who have been in contact or at least interested. So they're all humanoid, well, mostly.
They're variants, yeah.
They're variants, and they're
Sure.
different children sizes, a little bit taller, a little bit shorter, but generally like humanoid, human-ish. Any number of them could be also Elohim, like because that's not a name of a. Even Palladians is not their own name for themselves.
Of course.
Because that's a name of a set of stars that we gave. And
yes.
So they probably have their own internal name. So some of the names that we have read about from different accounts and also history could be the same civilization, even though the name is different. Like Anunnaki, for example. From what I could read, it could be very well be the same race as the Elohim, but it's just that Anunnaki is also not the name of their race. It's a name that humans gave to those people when they were in contact with.
Yeah. Yes.
So, to me, not being like with them and not really understanding the dynamics and the names, I'm not sure.
Right, but just
any one of those that I described that we see in pictures could be coming first, or as a collective, as a group. Why not?
I agree with you, which leads to these questions. Supposing not all of the ETs are benevolent, how would the Alliance avoid their nature?
We're not equipped to do that. The Alliance.
There we go.
The Alliance, like the core team is strictly about building the embassy, the mechanics, making it happen. In the network, however, there's multiple organizations that are focused on love of humanity and unicity, disclosure, exploration, and understanding, like researchers, for example. You have even the religious groups, like there was a small Buddhist group that joined, and then have a bunch of influencers. And within the network, we have people who have different purposes. They want it to happen, but they are working on different aspects. And some of them are concerned about this, like, oh, what happens with the ill-intended ETs. The general discussion I've had with the network that are more focused on this is that those that want this to happen are benevolent, in purpose. They're within their population. There's always groups, small and big, that have different opinions, just like we do on Earth. And some are against this.
Yeah.
Okay.
True. Yes.
Some are against for a variety of reasons, and so what I've been told by those that are channeling or in contact with the Galactic Council and others, they say, well, they're keeping the bad elements in check because they want this to happen well, but they can't control everybody. It's like we can't control everybody.
Exactly.
Our own civilization. So their incidents may happen, but they'll prevent large-scale incidents, right? Because they want this to go well.
Yes. Yes. Right. Right. Yeah. All right. Next question. Also from Polly, also an experiencer. Credible experiences, actually. She goes, are you collaborating with hybrids for this alliance? That's a great question.
We're collaborating with everybody.
Wow. Yeah.
It's been a founding principle of the alliance that we are open to everybody from any source, any provenance, anywhere, as long as they want the embassy to be built, and they are positive about encounters with ETs, right? We just welcome everybody, and we were kind of an obvious term, like we are seeking within individuals and organizations that are non-criminal.
Right. Kind
of an obvious thing to say, but still, it is. We have very, very few criteria. Some people are the people that I know, and also in as volunteers are. They say they are hybrids, so the mother is ET and other parent from space, and yes. If you look at her history, in a way, a big portion of the population is technically hybrid.
True.
Because you even see this in the Christian Bible in the Old Testament, where the creators like the women of the earth and had children with them.
All you have to do is read the Book of Enoch.
Yeah. So there's signs in our own textbooks from way back, the old stories.
Yeah, Ezekiel. There's all kinds.
Yeah. So we probably carry some amount of genes that are not terrestrial. But presumably, if we were created using genetics and so on, we are modeled after our creators. So there's, that's why there's compatibility to a certain
the
extent.
gods made man in their image.
Yeah,
there. It says it right there.
And Elohim is plural. Those who came from Hebrew, when you have the suffix im, it's a plural generally, and if it's it is singular. And in the Bible, and we can talk about the Quran and other books.
Sure, same idea.
Im and sometimes and it's definitely. And then those words were sometimes, at least in some of the more modern Bibles, they were translated to God.
Yes.
Which is singular. Elohim became God singular.
Yes.
And it was justified. God is a Trinity, therefore it is three people inside one. I mean, I don't fully understand that.
Of course. Yes.
But
I know.
In the original books, it was not God, it was Elohim, which means those who came from the sky, plural. Anyway.
Yes.
I get off my soap.
It's all there. It's all there in the ancient text. There have been a lot of modifications that have happened since that. Do you think that we as a human race, on an average, do you think we're ready for this, for contact? I mean, many of us are, and there's many waiting for disclosure, but many of us are sitting there going, we are the disclosure,
Yeah.
all of us experiencers. But do you feel on an average that humanity is ready for this next step?
Yes. Yeah. And I couldn't say that 5 years ago,
Yeah,
which is interesting. Um,
that's
there was some
interesting.
kind of tipping point when we started the alliance. That's what got me going. It's like, wait a second, like the wind has changed.
Yes.
And then since then, it came from people kind of, when you talk about ETs or you're talking about like an embassy or something like that, like 5 years ago, you still had like, that's crazy, right? And
Mhm.
now it's like, oh, tell me more.
Yes.
How would this happen? Why
Yeah.
would they're asking questions? They're not dismissing it offhand. It's just like, yeah, how would this happen? Like, how do we, like,
Yeah.
questions that we're having here? Like, how do we know they're not bad? Like, these are serious questions. These are not dismissal. These are
Mhm.
intelligent questions. Like, why or how? And
Mhm.
things have changed. It's dining room conversation stuff now. People can talk about it without ridicule. It's just a good conversation.
Yeah.
So in that point, like that's what tells me that most people are ready. We just need to make sure we don't invite catastrophe at the top level, at the governmental level, military.
Mhm.
The security people, right?
Yes.
They kind of freak out about, oh, there's something in our airspace. We need to have mechanisms to avoid problems with each other
Mhm.
around that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's 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 interesting. I mean, it's hard to say where it could end up going. Like I feel like look when Star Trek came out, when it first came out, I like this big experiment just to see how humans would react to certain like working alongside or meeting extraterrestrials at that point. And I think it set precedents because Star Trek fans were crazy about Star Trek. So crazy that if something didn't go the way they wanted to, they could literally shut down the production. Like, nope. Like they wanted this. And if you look at how far that series and selected programs or seasons and the different variations of Star Trek have gone, people are still like, when's the next movie? How many decades has it been? And I really feel that that set precedents for at least a generation or two or three would be accepting of something like this. And then, of course, there was always the theory that, Gene Roddenberry met with the Council of Nine and all of this. So it's just, you know, it's interesting. Where did it go? Where did it come from? But it was great while it lasted.
I'm a big Star Trek fan for all sorts of reasons. Like,
Same too. Yeah, I love it.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those shows that pictured aliens like humans in a way, like having normal societies, good members, bad members. It was very realistic to me, right?
Yeah.
Um, so you could relate to the ETs through Star Trek. Uh,
Mhm.
and there was a lot of really interesting themes. The original series and all the
Yeah.
series after that, very relatable, very human.
Mhm.
And in modern conversations, with my profession is actually I'm an engineer. I'm a futurist. It's about seeing the future and how it impacts organizations. I don't have a crystal ball. Not that kind of futurist. Like I'm probabilities and math.
Yes,
But
yes,
in my profession, there's a lot of references to Star Trek, not because of ETs.
yes.
Uh, the reference is because of robotics and AI.
Mhm.
We're talking about a society that is, some are even talking about societies where everything is a commodity or everything becomes basically free because of the technologies we're building,
Mhm.
AI in particular. And that's what the reference of Star Trek comes from in those
Mhm.
conversations about like this federation and how people live on planet Earth in Star Trek. Right,
Mhm.
the computer is there always. You just ask and it produces, and that nobody's working for money. Everybody has what they need. That's
Yes,
what we're talking about. But
yeah.
within that, you do have the ETs in Star Trek,
Mm-hmm.
And imagine, like, these ETs most likely are advanced also socially. They don't force people to work in order to survive. Presumably, I would assume so, because that's kind of a
Probably treat people better than their governments.
treating
I said it. I said it.
yeah.
Right.
So the image that we're imagining ourselves in Star Trek, with civilization basically free of forced toil, is also the same world where it's kind of natural to have ETs kind of visiting and interacting with us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's kind of the Roddenberry world is something we can imagine for ourselves in the real world.
Yes.
And the ETs come in because we understand, as we evolve in our systems and how we could have a better system, we can also imagine these advanced civilizations, how they would interact with us in a positive way and in a quasi-equal way. Because they also have evolved beyond material needs and conquest and some of these things, and we can talk at an equal level, because we talk at a higher level, not about, well, how can we take advantage of each other, but more about, well, how can we exchange our cultures and how can we improve each other. So we can have this idea
of a oneness
in these conversations. Yeah.
Yeah.
The oneness, that we're not so different after all. Exactly.
Yeah, love and light, using our abilities and being taught, who we are, who we really are. Okay. Again, I'm just going to kind of pick and choose. I know there's a lot, and I will do my best to get to everybody. What characteristics should have the one representing planet Earth in the alliance? So those who will be, representing, what characteristics should they have?
I think you want to have the model human.
Yeah.
And because we're all different, so who is the one representing everybody should be a person that is accepting everybody, all the characteristics, all races, all cultures, all races. And that's in part why we created the alliance in the way we did.
Yes.
We wanted it to be outside of the Aurelian movement, and like a separate entity, completely disconnected from any organization, any religion, any creed. It was registered in Canada, so we need to register it somewhere.
Yes.
And that's where I'm from, and Danielle also. So that it was just that's registered in this country.
Yes.
But that's the only tie we have, kind of out of need because of taxation and other constraints. But otherwise, we want to just be universal, and we want people to be that way too. Like ideally, the representative would not be a citizen of any one nation, but a citizen of Earth, or at least see him or herself that way. Right.
Yes.
So in practice, though, it's somewhat unlikely that the alliance or a representative of the alliance would be at the table talking to ETs inside the room, just because of the dynamics of how the embassy will, like, it's a host nation that basically builds it. Like we talked about before, like who would have leverage into being in the room, or custodians and things like that. That's still up in the air. We don't know. We'd like to think that whoever will be in the room with the ETs will be good representatives of humanity, in the sense that that the question was framed and what we would mean, you and I, Michelle.
So preferably not government.
How it's going to happen, and whether or not that's the reality for that very first meeting. Like I mentioned before, I'm sure the ETs would rather, like, let's imagine it's going to be kind of a standard scenario we'd expect, which means the host nation has a person there. You have like other people that are with standard diplomats, let's call it, like it's their profession, and we don't have a seat at the table. That's how I think it's actually going to happen. I hope not, but I think that's going to happen at first because of the pressures and the power, dynamics, and that'll be okay. The ETs will be respectful and have a chat with them. They don't want to talk to these people. I'm pretty sure.
Well, like Mish says, it would be nice if they were the ones that chose,
Exactly.
Yes. So you're building the building, but ET, it would be nice if they chose who they wanted to communicate with and leave it at that. Because some of them, they are very evolved, but they don't necessarily want to communicate as open-minded as they are and wanting to be, some of them are very benevolent. They want that unity, but there are some groups out there, and I have to say, like, how many governments have even been already in touch with ET along the lines, and I don't know necessarily that they would want people at that level communicating with them. I think they would want, somebody more on an enlightened level.
Yeah, and like our hopes may come true. Like we just don't know.
Yes.
Like they may, instead of just appearing out of nowhere, they may somehow communicate. We're coming on the 10th of March 2030 or whatever, right? And it's a clear message. Everybody gets it. It's like, okay, like we know this is happening ahead of time. We're not 100% sure, but it's pretty convincing type of message, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay. And within that message, they may say like, okay, this is who we want to see.
Yes.
And it may just happen that way. Right? We just don't know how they're going to do this. And then are we going to follow the recommendations? Or I don't know. On our side, again, we can be dicks and we can be gracious. We can depending on who's going to be involved. I certainly hope this is something it'll happen that way. I just don't know. And they would choose if they send such a message, they would choose people that are appropriate for them.
Yes.
And then we'll see how the people on our end react, the different people in positions. Like the host nation would certainly have a say, and others. If I'm called to go on at the table, like, dude, like I'm there. For sure.
Sure. Big honor.
What an honor. Yeah.
Yes. But you're building. You're the builder. You're putting the organization together. You're doing the red tape. You're not necessarily the one that's going to sit there and say, "Okay, we're going." Yeah, you're just the organizer.
I think in this, a lot of people have been given the task by DETs, like guided in some way, including myself, I think. Yeah. And we each have our part.
Yes.
So I even though I would be excited to be called to be at the table, I'm feeling it's probably not me that's going to be there.
Yeah, this is your part. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm just going to leave it at that. Like I'm really not sure how it's going to happen. My job is to get the embassy built.
Yes. Plain and simple. I like that. Michael says, it goes, have you reached out to Dr. Stephen Greer about using his star retreat in Hot Springs, Virginia? Is it for the ET embassy? He says, I've had dealings with Dr. Stephen Greer on his new facility and believe they would fall in line quite well with your task.
Well, two things. We've tried to connect with Dr. Greer directly, and he's never responded. So probably he's busy with his own project, because he is very busy with a bunch of projects, and we're a new organization and so on. We welcome contact and discussion with Dr. Greer and his organization. Just like I said before, we're open. Like we're open doors.
Yes.
The second point, though, we've been offered land dozens of times. from
Yes.
different, even Aboriginal groups have offered land on their territories.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Wow.
because they know this is real. Like
And they
to
would
them,
probably
like
be the
North
best
American
suited.
Aboriginals and another place of the world,
Yeah.
individuals that have land in the States and Puerto Rico and other places, like, hey, we have land, build the embassy here.
Yes.
Yeah, but then it's just a building. We
Right.
can use the hot springs facility of Dr. Greer,
Mhm.
but it's just a building. It's not an official embassy that the nations recognize under the Vienna Convention, in
Mhm.
which diplomatic immunity and applies.
Mhm.
That's really important.
Right.
We have actually an international lawyer that's affiliated with us do a talk about this in one of our conferences for 2 or 3 years ago. And he explains, like, the problem with ETs,
Mhm.
at least from a legal perspective, is that they have no rights in any nation.
Mhm.
And every nation have their own set of laws. You have 200 nations odd.
Mhm.
They all have their own set of laws. You can't expect to create a safe environment for ETs and each other by having 200 nations change their laws.
Mhm.
That won't happen. But the Vienna Convention is one set of rules that
Mhm.
applies to everybody, as long as you declare the ETs diplomats. And as long as there is an embassy that is
Mhm.
recognized by the other nations. So you need an official embassy, which means a host nation that's an actual sitting nation at the UN
Mhm.
says, this is an embassy, this is the land. Then it becomes a real embassy. So even though there's a lot of people that offer land,
Mhm.
that's not where it's going to be built, because it won't be a real embassy.
Yeah. We have to go through the protocol. You know, there's so much talk, people wanting to, um, I think Ronald Reagan had made comments back in the day, just like, about extraterrestrials. And one day we're going to have a bigger threat. So there's that talk about unifying the planet, this whole one world thing, because we have this bigger threat. So they're attaching threat to it and to control. So do you find that you might get dragged into this somehow as an embassy? Is that a fear or a concern?
No, I mean, it is definitely something that will happen. Like, people want
Yeah.
to see this as national security and that kind of thing, for sure. But
Yeah.
no, because the not in our case. Like, we'll be able to skirt out of that discussion,
Yes.
thankfully, um, because we're focused on just getting an embassy built, and an embassy is beyond.
Mhm.
It has its own rules about security. Like, the convention also covers that. Like, who who takes care of security and how does it apply?
Yeah.
And the optional protocol will need to cover some of that, because the host nation, we assume, the nation that gains the embassy is
Mhm.
not here
Yes.
or
Yeah.
may not be present, right? So the optional protocol will have to kind of take care of some of that. And there's security elements to the Vienna Convention, which is part of why we want to make it an official embassy. That's
Mhm.
what it calls for.
Yes.
So all the warmongering and kind of protectionism, and that's going to happen around this,
Mhm.
and we'll need to continue talking about the importance of maintaining the integrity of the diplomatic elements, like the embassies, diplomatic security, and all that stuff for everybody, like
Mhm.
on the planet and extraterrestrial, because that's what guarantees all these other considerations to be kind of beyond it. It's designed to be beyond, right?
Mhm.
That's why when you have, let's say, a military attacking another country, right?
Mhm.
If they attack an embassy, they are attacking foreign soil, like not another country
Mhm.
territory, right?
Mhm.
So, and it's severely and directly considered that by all nations.
Mhm.
So militaries don't attack intentionally other countries' embassies because you're attacking another country.
Mhm. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So that hopefully will be enough to avoid a lot of this, but yeah, definitely there's going to be national security squawking plenty when time comes.
Yes. Again, guys, there's a whole slew of messages, so please be patient. Some have been sitting for a while. How do recent congressional UAP pushes affect your organization's diplomatic outreach to the governments?
Super helpful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more people talk about UAPs, ETs, the better, and the more credible organizations tap into that, the better too, because it gives it more credibility within the general population. So I love the activities of Dr. Avi Loeb, for example, which you probably know. He's talked about AI Atlas quite a bit. And back in the day, 2019, I think, when Oumuamua came by, he's a credible Harvard scientist, right?
Yes.
And a professor. This gives the conversation much more credibility than just you and I on a podcast on our own, talking about what we're passionate about, right? We are getting the attention of organizations that are serious like this. We have been for a couple of years, in fact, that work at the UN level, that work with even military or governments. They want to talk to us now. And they want to officially, at least one of them that will come up officially soon, I'm hoping, we'll be able to put on our website, like, it's our direct network partner.
Yes.
I forget what the question was, but
yeah.
but
Me too.
That's
where you're going.
We're gathering around us organization as credible as possible, so that the idea of the embassy ETs becomes more and more credible and more important, become even more like common conversation, so that when it happens, people are shocked in a way, but they've already mentally prepared for it, because they've had serious conversation, non-dismissal conversation, but they've talked about, like, how would this happen? What would I do? What would you do? That kind of thing. And then they already kind of ready. Okay, this is happening. It's like, what do I do now? So, well, let's here,
sure.
not panic.
Yeah, for sure. Next question. Communication. Have you had definitive communication from ET? Like, have you guys developed a way to communicate, or are you just trying to attract them at this point?
They've always been able to communicate with us. And even though I personally have not had contact or any communication myself, many of our volunteers, and even leaders inside the Alliance, are contactees and channelers. So, and two of them actually do sometimes podcasts and interviews like this. Started doing that, and not so that it's not just me being the talking head. One of them, they are channelers, and they were given the task of being diplomats for humanity, which is why they're working with us. It's really interesting, because sometimes we have meetings, like Alliance meetings. They're there, and ET want to talk to us.
Yeah.
And so we have their channeling. One of them is in contact with directly with the Galactic Council, with named individuals. The other one is in contact with a council of elders of the same group of ETs, but a separate council. So I feel like at meetings, like we're talking, and I have an advisory board of both the Galactic Council and the Elders Council, kind of feeding their inputs into our meeting.
Yes,
it's extraordinary to me, because I have no contact and no previous engagement, but these are people that I trust. Like we've worked together for 3-4 years.
Yes,
I know them. They're not nuts, for sure.
Yes,
they're very benevolent human individuals that want to do good. They've had fairly recent emergence as channelers, not 20 years, but just like a few years.
Yes.
and they want to give and they want to accomplish their mission, and that's why they're there. And then you have these messages that channel through.
Yes.
It's like, okay, like got input directly from ET. So that's my experience with this. And there's like dozens and dozens of people like this that are contactees, channelers, communicators, and constantly, even now we have a new project for 2026. We're trying to gather all channelers in the same room so that we can talk and see like the common project. How can we help each other, accomplish their own individual goals? Is there a lot of common ground in goals? Like, can subcommittees form to help each other out? We're trying to organize this actually in 2026 early, and see what happens. Like there's a lot of people that are being in contact with ETs, and more so than people think. We're talking. My estimation is that you probably have millions of people in contact with ETs right now.
Yes. Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. The background that we're looking at, the building, what inspired you to do this design? Was this something that you were told by your people saying, oh, no, they want something like this and like this? Or was just this something you felt? Where does it come from?
This does not come from me. This actually comes from the people working on this for years in the Raelian movement. We borrowed this because it's good design. But there's a story about this. This is why we kept this.
Yes.
I think it's in 1990. One of our volunteers is also Raelian. He's the architect, the original architect of this, and there's a small group of architects. So we brought him into the alliance because we want to have the design and all that stuff. He and others created the base outline at first. Like this is a base idea, like just 1990 or something, I think he mentioned. And it was funny because the base design was presented to Rael and others, like kind of a public like show, like this is what we think kind of thing. And 2 days later, the design appeared in a crop circle in the UK. Is it 2 days later or a day later, like a very short time later? You can actually find it still online. It's getting old because it is 35 years ago, or so. And at that, like it was noticeable. It was news at the time, and they said like, okay, then like that sounds like a stamp of approval or something because this is. So let's keep the shape.
Yeah.
So that's why it's shaped like this with a donut and things. There was a design. It seemed to be through crop circle maybe acceptable. Later on, the details of it were worked on in 3D and walkthroughs and things like that. And that's all creative elements from the architectural team. The trusses represent organic, but also DNA. Right, generally, and they have like kind of a flower shape, like which is kind of an indication of beauty and creation, and kind of making the building beautiful and as modern as possible to make it inviting. Is what I was told. And internally, you have like the airlock system and kind of the practical elements, like a conference room and that kind of thing. Yeah,
and accommodations, things like that.
Right. There's room for, I think, oh my gosh, is it 11 or 7 people? I can't remember now how many rooms are in the donut, the residential area. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. So Polly says, is your government supporting or collaborating with the project at all?
My government? Well, I'm Canadian, but I live in Thailand. So I have two answers. First off, Danielle takes care of conversations, so I don't know if either of those countries have been chatting with Danielle. He's the president handling the diplomatic conversations.
Yes.
I do not know. I would hope it would be Thailand because I live here.
Yes, that'd be great.
But what I do know is unlikely it to be Canada because Danielle, he hinted at some point that it's unlikely to be a cold country.
Yeah, that's true. In many ways.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
So
cold.
I know we'll leave it there, but I know.
I mean,
Um,
there's logistics issues with snow. The
yes,
Canadians
of
know
course.
this, but also
Yeah.
it's cold. And if you want to be comfortable, you do it where the
Yeah.
climate is more
No
amenable
tropics
for
in
comfort.
Canada. No tropics in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I suspect that it's way more likely we'll have a go ahead with a country that has much more to gain from such a project, which is like I said, presented as a tourism
Mhm.
and job making project for countries, because that's what they want to sell to their population. It's
Mhm.
way easier to sell a project like this, like we're going to do something weird
Mhm.
because it's going to create job in tourism, than saying we're going to do something a bit off the cuff here just
Mhm.
because we're going to use taxpayer money and resources to do this. Like
Mhm.
that's a harder sell. But you say it's going to create jobs, and so in that respect, nations that are poorer are much more likely to want the project to happen because it's more beneficial to them. Like the
Mhm.
US, for example, doing a project like this would be a drop in the bucket in their economy. It wouldn't make a dent,
Mhm.
really.
No, they're still trying to figure disclosure out, so I don't think they would be
Yeah.
jumping to the next level at any given time.
But a
Um,
country like Thailand, though, which is
yeah,
highly touristic, is
yeah,
much more likely to think, well, this is another tourism attraction and would be
yes,
great for the economy if something happens, something amazing.
yes,
So, and it's hot.
yes,
It's warm
that's
weather.
hot. There's a bonus right there.
Yeah.
Which nations have shown strongest support for the Vienna Protocol
I
that you're
actually
aware
don't
of?
really know
Okay.
a lot of the nations. Again, my purview is more the expansion of the network. However,
Yeah.
um, interestingly, San Marino, which is a small country inside Italy, if you don't not familiar with it's one city, right,
Yes.
inside Italy, made a petition at the UN, unrelated to us, although we behind the scenes we were talking with some of the people responsible for this. It's called oh my gosh, what is it called? The Titan Project, I think. At the time, this was a couple of years ago, but it went into the UN. They made a proposal to set up a committee
Mm.
inside the UN to discuss extraterrestrial contact, essentially.
Mm.
So the San Marino, in particular, because of Project Titan, right? They're already on board with this, so they could very well call for discuss the Vienna. They're already thinking about this. They already took some action about this. Some nations that are very UFO centered,
Mm.
like in South American countries, for example, are very likely to jump on board really quickly.
Mm.
I spoke with some Mexican scientists recently that are doing work with UAPs about this. It's like, look, like we everybody talks about UFOs and aliens all the time. Like it's common. Like they see them in the sky on a regular basis, like normal people. It's not
Mm.
even special anymore in a
Right.
lot of South American
It's so
countries.
commonplace. Yeah.
It's very, very common. So
Yeah.
the idea of disclosure doesn't even come up
Mhm.
because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And everybody's
Yeah.
talking about it.
Mhm.
So those countries, talking
Mhm.
about the protocols for contact, that would be easy for them. It's not even risky politically.
Mhm. Um, do you guys have a process for vetting your contactees? Because anybody could say they are. This is a very special project. I think
It's
you
really
is there a way
hard.
that being sure?
Yeah, it's really hard. Actually, one of the major organizations that in our network
Mhm.
had a special meeting with me just on that topic. Just ask me that question. It's like, how
Oh,
do you how do you know?
yeah, for sure.
They wanted like, how do you do it? Like, because we get contacted a lot. Like, how do you do it? Like, and this is the answer I gave. It's like
Yeah.
how do you know a person experienced something or not? Right? Like
Mhm.
can't really tell. But I do apply filters. So I gave him my tricks. It's like, number one, I check if the person is trying to personally benefit financially or otherwise from that possible relationship. I want to eliminate the chance that, because most likely somebody that just says like I'm a contactee without being one has an ulterior motive that is not, globally beneficial. It's more selfish, right? So I look at contactees that are non-selfish as more likely to be real contactees, and they have a mission and things. It's non-selfish, non-ego type of individuals I trust a lot more. Let's say. Beyond that, you can through conversation see for signs of mental instability. Because it could also be just a construct, like somebody can be schizophrenic and imagine things. It's also a possibility, right? And if a person has a stable job, has like a, interaction.
Functional individuals.
Functional individual, well, also more likely that this is the real deal.
Yes.
Although some people that have contacts sometimes get destabilized because of trauma or shock. That does happen.
Yes.
And they can be brought back, but like I have to filter somehow, right? So I look for stable individuals that are non-egoist and want to give, right? And not asking anything in return. Those seem more legitimate to me. Otherwise, I mean, you have to be able to look into their brains and
sometimes hypnosis, sometimes just seeing what, finding out what the characteristics of an actual experience tends to be. But unfortunately now so much of it is online. It is very difficult to work your way through it, and the message here from ET, I think, is that they just want unity. They want us to remember who we are. They want us to be able to use these abilities that apparently we all know how to do. And some, then the cruel joke, of course, of our creator is, you're coming back and we're not going to let you remember anything. Great. So, I guess there are different ways. But this is, of course, the part of the show where you promote yourself, just as we come to the end. Where can I've had your website up quite a bit, but what do you have coming up? How can people get a hold of you? What are you looking for? How can they help? That sort of thing.
Okay, excellent. So yes, the best thing to do is check out the website, because we do have information about who we are, and also there's a membership page that describes different ways you can get involved, which includes volunteering. And we're constantly looking for volunteers that are able to speak different languages, because we're primarily English and French, but and now a little bit of Spanish, but we want to get into other nations. And the activities for this year are primarily about getting the word out. So I'm looking for people that want to get involved in taking care of social media, like different social media, like platforms to get messages out, because we're lacking in some sort of social media in our volunteer base, and we're looking for people that are influencers or that know influencers that are interested in the topic, so we can get the word out even more. So just get the idea of the embassy as much out as possible. People getting, so that it helps us getting numbers up, and that we can show how many people want this to happen in a tangible numerical way. And then when we talk in our other branch, when Daniel talks about with governments, he can talk about bigger numbers, basically. So that's for this year, that's what we're looking for, volunteers that want to help us out, get the word out.
And they could just go to your website here and reach out.
The contact form, I will see the message personally. Others do, but usually I'm the one that answers at first. So you'll get me.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining me. It was such a pleasure to meet you, and definitely enlightening. I really hope it goes every direction you want it to go in, and you never know who you're going to meet to help you on your journey. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
All right, thank you very much. And to everyone else in chat room, thank you all for tuning in. You guys are really awesome. Thank you to everybody who's listening through audio. We appreciate you so very much. Wednesday, Mark Ollie joins us for updates on UFOs, disclosures, Three Eye Atlas, all the typical stuff, but all the way from the UK. So hopefully we'll get some stuff out there. Wednesday, open mic, open discussion with Wayne Mallows exploring end times prophecies, predictions. And Thursday, Giulio Consiglio, his book, Your Highest Vibration, realizing your full potential through chakras and meditations and things like that. So very laid back, very laid back conversation. So anyway, thank you all. Have a terrific weekend, and we shall see you all on Tuesday. Good night.
Good night.